Welcome to Marginal Thoughts. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something you hear about a lot, especially in movies, but maybe don't know the nitty-gritty of money laundering?
Right. It sounds really complex, maybe even a bit glamorous sometimes in fiction,
hmm
but the basic idea is actually pretty straightforward.
Yeah, so what we want to do today is unpack what it really means, how it works in the real world, without getting, bogged down in super technical jargon, just the essentials.
Exactly. So think about it this way. Criminals make money from illegal stuff, drugs, theft, whatever. That's dirty money. Now they've got maybe huge piles of cash. They can't just waltz into a bank and deposit, say, $1 million in 20s.
Right, that would set off alarm bells everywhere. People would immediately ask, where did you get this?
Precisely.
Huh.
So money laundering is essentially the process they use to make that dirty money look like it came from a legitimate or clean source,
Yeah.
so they can actually spend it.
Okay, so it's all about hiding the origins and avoiding suspicion, avoiding the government asking too many questions, I guess.
Yeah, avoiding scrutiny, avoiding legal trouble. It lets them use the profits of their crime. And there's generally a kind of pattern to it. Usually people talk about three stages.
Three stages, okay.
The first one is called placement. This is literally putting the dirty money into the financial system somehow. This is often the riskiest part because you're dealing with that raw cash, which is bulky and suspicious.
So like taking that suitcase full of money and just depositing it?
Yeah, that's a basic example. Trying to get it into a bank account or maybe buying something valuable with it. That's placement.
Okay, so the money's in the system, maybe in a bank, but it's still linked to that initial suspicious deposit, right? What's next?
Good point. That leads to stage two, layering. This is the real washing part, you can say. The goal here is to obscure the trail,
Yeah.
to make it super confusing to track where the money actually came from
How do they do that?
through lots and lots of transactions, moving the money around between different accounts, maybe different banks, sometimes across borders. They might use shell companies, these fake companies that just exist to move money around, wire transfers, complex financial instruments.
Wow, okay. So just creating a maze of transactions.
Exactly. Lots of layers to hide the original source. It makes forensic accounting really difficult.
Makes sense. Covering their tracks. So after all that layering, what's the end game?
The final stage is integration. This is where the money, now appearing clean, re-enters the legitimate economy. It's spent or invested in ways that look totally normal, buying luxury cars, houses, investing in legitimate businesses, stocks, bonds.
Ah, so it comes back looking like regular profit or investment return?
Precisely. The washing cycle is complete, and the money can be used openly without attracting attention.
Got it. Placement, layering, integration. So who exactly needs to do all this? We're talking specific types of criminals?
Well, yeah. It's usually people dealing with large amounts of illicit cash. Think about major drug traffickers.
Right, they deal almost exclusively in cash, don't they?
Tons of it. So
Huh?
they have a massive constant need to launder money. It's fundamental to their business.
Okay, who else is on this list?
Embezzlers, people who steal large sums from their employers,
Hmm?
corrupt politicians or officials taking bribes, organized crime groups, obviously, mobsters, and unfortunately terrorist groups too. They need money laundering to fund their activities.
That's a sobering thought.
And also, big-time con artists, people who pull off major fraud schemes. They end up with dirty money they need to clean.
Definitely not your average petty criminal. Now, the examples, this is where it gets kind of surprising, right?
Wow.
What sort of everyday businesses might be used for this?
Oh, absolutely. Often it's businesses that handle a lot of cash naturally, where income can be a bit fuzzy.
Like what?
Well, think about small, cash-heavy retail spots. Maybe a candy store or an arcade with claw machines and games. Lots of small cash transactions.
A candy store. Really?
Huh. Yeah, or even, classically, laundromats. There's that old story, maybe it's apocryphal, that the term money laundering came from Al Capone using laundromats
I've heard that one.
and car washes. Another classic. Think Breaking Bad, right? You could easily inflate the number of customers or the price per wash.
Right, because who's really tracking every single car?
Exactly. Nail salons, beauty salons too. Services are paid for, often in cash. Customers come and go. It's hard to verify the exact revenue.
So businesses where you can easily mix the dirty money in with the legitimate cash that comes in?
Precisely. Service businesses where reporting income has some flexibility are also targets.
Like restaurants. I've sometimes wondered about places that seem perpetually empty but never close down.
That can be a sign, yes. They report high sales, boosted by the dirty money, even if the actual customer flow is low. Strip clubs, psychic reading businesses.
Psychic readings, that's unexpected.
Think about it. The service is intangible. How do you verify how many readings were done or what the rate was? It's easy to invent income.
Wow, okay. What else? Things that aren't so obviously cash-based.
Sure, businesses dealing in things where value is subjective or hard to pin down. Art galleries are a prime example.
Ah, because the price of art can be anything, right?
Exactly. You can buy a piece with dirty money, get a fake appraisal saying it's worth much more, sell it, or even donate it for a tax break based on the inflated value. It moves money and makes it look legitimate.
That's clever, in a criminal sort of way. Any other surprising fronts?
Oh, plenty. Flower shops, sometimes, especially ones open odd hours. Flowers are perishable, so you can claim high spoilage rates or inflated sales.
Huh, never would have guessed flowers.
Small-town cinemas reporting packed houses when they're mostly empty. Fruit and grain vendors, it's hard to verify exact quantities sold versus spoiled. Cash-only parking lots, you can invent ghost cars that paid cash.
Ghost cars.
Even things like churches, in some cases, due to fewer reporting requirements for donations, although that's less common as a primary method. And complex schemes like the black market peso exchange in Colombia, exploiting currency controls.
It seems like almost any business could potentially be twisted this way if someone's determined enough.
If it provides a plausible way to explain incoming cash, yes. And then there are more technical methods beyond just using a front business.
Right, you mentioned shell companies. What else?
There's smurfing. Sounds funny, but it's serious. You take a huge amount of cash, break it into smaller chunks, usually just under the $10,000 reporting threshold for banks in the U.S., for example.
Okay.
Then you get multiple people, the smurfs, to make these small deposits into various accounts. Individually, they don't trigger alarms, but collectively, you move a lot of money.
Sneaky. Flying under the radar.
Exactly. Offshore accounts are another big one. Using banks in countries with very strict bank secrecy laws makes it incredibly hard for authorities elsewhere to track the money.
Right, those infamous tax havens and secrecy jurisdictions.
And using shell companies not just to move money, but to create fake invoices, fake loans, fake business transactions between them to further muddy the waters.
It's like a whole fake economy built just to clean money. What about real estate again? You mentioned buying it.
Yeah, real estate is huge. Buy property with dirty cash. Then maybe you take out a mortgage or loan against that property. The loan money you receive is clean, effectively swapping dirty equity for clean debt you can spend. Then you might sell the property later.
Okay, that makes sense. And casinos. Seems like an obvious place with all that cash.
Casinos and even brokerage firms, yeah. The sheer volume of transactions happening makes it easier for illicit funds to blend in. You might buy chips with dirty cash, gamble a little, then cash out, claiming the money as winnings.
It's a tangled web. There was that Crazy Eddie electronics case back in the 80s, wasn't there? Something about that.
Ah, yeah, Crazy Eddie. That was a bit different but related. They were skimming cash profits before laundering, hiding money offshore. Then, to make the company look more profitable before going public, they brought that hidden cash back into the company, pretending it was sales revenue.
So they laundered their own skimmed money back into the business to inflate its value.
Essentially, yes. It showed placement, getting cash out and offshore, layering, using Panamanian entities, and integration, bringing it back as fake revenue to boost the stock price. Wild stuff.
It really highlights how this works in practice. Okay, so stepping back, why is all this such a big deal? Why is money laundering considered such a major problem?
Well, fundamentally, it enables crime. If criminals couldn't clean their money, it would be much, much harder for large criminal enterprises, drug cartels, terrorist groups, major fraudsters to operate and profit.
It fuels the fire, basically.
Exactly. It also really hurts legitimate economies. Launderers often don't pay taxes on their illicit income. Their front businesses might unfairly undercut legitimate competitors because they're subsidized by dirty money.
Right, it creates an uneven playing field for honest businesses.
Definitely. And in developing countries, especially those with weaker regulations, large-scale money laundering can seriously destabilize their financial systems and even corrupt governments.
So, global consequences.
Absolutely. And overall, it erodes trust. Trust in banks, trust in businesses, trust in financial systems, when people see they can be exploited like this.
It sounds incredibly difficult to fight, though, with all these methods and just the sheer amount of money flowing globally every single
It
day.
is a massive challenge. Think about the trillions of dollars in transactions daily. Finding the dirty streams within that legitimate flow is like finding needles in a
And
haystack.
the criminals are always adapting, right?
Constantly. As soon as authorities figure out one method, launderers develop newer, more sophisticated ones. Digital currencies, complex corporate structures. It's an ongoing battle,
Plus, it crosses borders.
which means you need international cooperation between law enforcement and financial regulators.
Yeah.
And that can be politically and logistically complicated. Different laws, different priorities,
A never-ending game of cat and mouse, it seems.
pretty much. There's work done, undercover operations, focusing on compliance within banks, making sure they know their customers, report suspicious activity. Joint task forces can help. But it's tough.
So let's try to wrap this up. Money laundering is basically taking illegal cash, dirty money, and running it through a cycle placement, layering, integration to make it look legitimate or clean.
That's the core of it.
And criminals use all sorts of ways to do this, from everyday cash businesses like laundromats or car washes to really complex stuff involving offshore accounts, shell companies, smurfing, even art and real estate.
A whole range of methods, often hidden in plain sight.
And it's a huge problem because it supports crime, hurts honest businesses, can destabilize economies, and just generally damages trust in the system.
You got it. It's not just a movie plot. It's a real, ongoing global issue with significant consequences.
Well, hopefully this deep dive has shed some light on it for you. Now that you know a bit more, maybe think about your own community. Are there any businesses or situations that might make you pause and wonder now? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And if you found this look into the hidden world of money laundering interesting, make sure you subscribe to Marginal Thoughts for more explorations of intriguing topics. Thanks for joining us.